Hi, I'm Daniel from ProAV Solutions. Today we're going to be talking about the new Canon C80. This is due to be released in November, and wanted to go through some reasons why you might consider upgrading to it from, say, your C70 or differences between it and the C400, which has just been released and shipping now. So first things that we want to cover, I'm just going to go through some cosmetic differences. So first thing you'll notice, they've redesigned the top handle on the camera. It's a little bit lighter, nice little finger grip here rather than having the big loop that the previous system had, and just clean that up a little bit. You still maintain a cold shoe on the top of it. Still single mounting point onto the camera, which I know some people had a bit of a gripe with previously, but after the whole week of playing with this I haven't had to tighten it up. And underneath the top handle we have a new design for the locking mechanism. So still got the little teeth like the last one, but they run horizontal instead of vertically down the body now, which seems to be holding it together. While we've got the top handle off, there's also a new smart shoe on the back of the camera. That's there to work with a number of Canon's other audio accessories, and I think watch this space and more to come. They're flowing on from the new C400 design for that as well. You can still get access to that whilst you have the top handle on as well. For anyone who used a C70 prior and was using a regular base plate on it, you'll find that not having a number of inline thread holes along the base for when you're using just a standard tripod plate rather than a cage made it very difficult to get a firm lock on the base plate and caused a little bit of wiggle room. So I think Canon have listened to that, and we now have a 3/8 and a 1/4 inch hole plus the locating pin all in line down the center. We still maintain the 2 1/4 inch threads on the side, which help for when you're mounting cages or also when you're balancing on certain devices. The camera's a little bit heavier than the C70. It weighs 130 grams more. If I had to put it down to what's actually causing that, it's now got SDI and a couple of other internals, which may have added to the overall weight, but 130 grams isn't really going to make a huge difference to your overall payload. They have changed the control stick design and placement from just here and moved that in towards the body and made it so it's a little bit easier for your finger to sit on there and not slip off the previous design. We've also now got a network point on the back of the camera. So that's allowing for direct tethering and control, being able to then work with their RCP controller and integrate with some of their other live functionality. The camera also has Wi-Fi now. We now have a 12G SDI port on the side of the body. Would have probably preferred its placement to be slightly lower down, but keeping the body small, I can completely understand where Canon's had to place that. So on the camera, coming again from a C70, you still maintain the 2 XLRs, you still maintain a microphone 3.5mm jack, you still maintain a headphone socket, and then the HDMI down the bottom. So we're able to have all of the outputs on the camera work at once. So if you are trying to use this in a production environment and going out to, say, an onboard monitor, going out to a wireless transmitter and wanting to internally record, all of those functionalities work in 4K and in 6K internally, and then 4K on the relative outputs. I didn't actually quite expect that from a camera of this size or price point, so yeah, thanks for including that, Canon. Other little cosmetic differences, the body, just a few shape contours, but yeah, nothing really to make a serious note about. The C70 design, look, it is what it is in terms of that form factor. I know a lot of people have moved to that box design, but that's really where that C400 design fits for Canon, and partly why the differentiation between the two. I'm sure every one of you who's ever used a C70 has either maybe had the hinge replaced or this, or it just works its way loose on the LCD. So it looks like they have made some improvements to that, but they have also put some little notches on the top and the bottom, so when the LCD is folded flat against the body, it now holds itself there rather than when that used to just sort of flap around, and over time that sort of got quite annoying, especially if you were ever on a gimbal or something. So And some other manufacturers may also choose to put like a loop or something off of that and make use of those little notches. So you can see if I fold open the screen here, and I can still turn those around, the notches are on both the top and the bottom, and then I can fold that back against the body, and yeah, it's now still firmly in place, but still easy enough to then pop that away and lock it in position. Still maintaining SD card slots on the camera, so we've got dual SD card slot, unlike say the C400, which is a SD card as well as a CF Express Type B. That's probably one of the major differentiating factors, which has some flow-on effects for the recording data rates that you're able to achieve. So now taking a dive into the technical differences between the two cameras. Probably the biggest and most noticeable one is we've come from a Super 35mm sensor, and we're now using a full frame sensor, same sensor that's in the C400 over here. So no more having to make use of the speed booster to get back our full frame ability. I will miss having the speed booster, just be able to get that extra stop, but I'd far rather the full frame sensor for the depth and the dynamic range improvements. We have now a triple base ISO compared to a dual base ISO. So look, this camera is already great in low light, but now having that triple base ISO just allows us to push it that little bit harder while still keeping that image clean for those really tricky environments. There's some other codec differences between the C70 and the C80, but probably the easiest way for me to just now compare these cameras is actually to pop the C70 aside and compare both the C400 and the C80 because they are similar but different. So both the same sensor, both maintain the triple base ISO, but probably the biggest difference is what it's capable of recording in terms of codecs and frame rates. So in the C80 it can do 6K 30 versus 6K 60, and we can do 4K 120, but it is compressed versus a 4K non-compressed codec in the C400. Both have the same autofocus capacity in them. That is a major difference between it and the C70. Just being able to track an object. When I did a review of the C400 earlier, it's one of the things I noticed the most in Canon's next gen of technology is just being able to track objects seamlessly, even with lenses that aren't parfocal, being able to zoom through the range and being able to maintain focus on it. Canon likes to call their new focus system sticky, and it is definitely sticky. Picking up an object and being able to hold. Other reasons why you'd choose to use the C80 over the C400, well, one is price. It's a couple of $1,000s cheaper than the C400 body. But what do you lose? Well, you lose those frame rate choices, you lose some of the data rate choices. So look, if you makes a beautiful B camera, or if you are sort of working in a non-production environment where you don't necessarily need all of the I/O that something like this gives you, with your dedicated SDI, dedicated monitor output and HDMI outputs, as well as Genlock. They're things that, like, just because the physical size of the body, they have had to take away, and it's a differentiating factor. I have to commend Canon for not throttling this camera down. I was really worried that they were going to just want to make the C400 their flagship, and it is still their flagship model, but they've given 90% of the technology to the C80 and worked with what they can in that type of body. And probably just to wrap up from my perspective, if I had to choose, what would I pick? I used to be a C70 owner and love that body to bits. I'd definitely go for a C400 if the budget permitted. The weight and the size, like, this is more of a box design. So yes, it is a little bit deeper, but it is shallower width-wise, and they're getting similar depth-wise. And look, having just the ability to rotate the handle, take that off, having a separate monitor off the body, and just something that is a lot more production ready, hands down go for a C400. But if you need a B-roll camera, or if you want something to fit a lot of your existing ecosystem and you're a C70 owner, the C80 is a great change from the C70, and I think you'd be pretty impressed. So if you do have any further questions, please reach out to us, and yeah, we look forward to testing more Canon gear soon. Thanks.